This is a true story about a young couple, a very young couple, who have more love than money, a lot more. In fact, they have almost no money at all. They live here, at the top of this walk-up, where rents are low and the plumbing antiquated. But just to show you how love conquers all, take a look at what a winter of evenings and weekends has done to some very unpromising space. Jack and Jill, we'll call them that, it's not their real name, moved in when it looked like this. And all the furniture they had was these few hand-me-downs. A pair of miserable end tables, a funny old chair from a second-hand shop, a record player from Jack's aunt, some wicker chairs, same source, and this desk covered with many coats of paint. Jill knew that planning was essential if she was going to make every penny count, so she and Jack spent many hours searching for information, studying the ideas other people had developed. The space was long and narrow, with entrance door here, closet here, kitchen door here. The plan was simple. Room divider here, making this area cozy for conversation, music, TV. Dining here when there were guests by adding leaves to the table here. They had all the furniture they actually had to have except sofas, which would double as beds. The problem was how to redecorate and refinish it. One of the booklets Jack read said it was easy to do it yourself, so he decided to give it a try. After all, he had nothing to lose. Remove all hardware, even if it's wooden hardware. Place hardware in a small container of paint remover. Just wait a few minutes, and the paint will slide right off. Spread remover generously on old finish. Don't brush out thin. Let the remover do the work. Hey, Jill. We never saw anything like it. The paint just bubbles off. If one coat does not completely penetrate all the old coats, apply a second coat before removing the already bubbled finish, so that all coats can be removed at one time. No second coat necessary here. The remover penetrated 4 layers of paint in one application. Don't scrape hard. Let the remover do the work. Use a dull knife and remove the old finish in the same direction as the wood grain. To remove finish from curved areas, use a fine bristled steel brush, steel wool, orange stick, or burlap. Jack combined steel wool and burlap and finished the job in jig time. While Jack took paint off, Jill put it on. In fact, she became expert in the so-called French provincial finish. First, you spray on gold paint. Allow gold paint to dry overnight. Then, drag flat white paint across the gold in such a manner that gold streaks show through the white paint. You can use a brush or a sponge. For sofas, they decided to build platforms on which they would place foam mattresses. She learned to paint, and she learned to sew. At least, she learned to sew well enough to make slipcovers. The desk was coming into the home stretch. A little remover on a pad of fine steel wool, and the beautiful grain of walnut shone through. Who could have ever covered such beautiful wood with paint? This piece really deserves the full treatment. First, wood filler, and let it dry, according to the manufacturer's directions. And last, a wood stain, in order to blend in the filler with the wood. And now to find the proper finish. His paint dealer told him about a new wood coating made of urethane, that amazing chemical that produces the most enduring paints and varnishes. He said this was the finest finish he'd ever seen, and available in both satin and gloss. Jack chose satin. If the present finish on the wood is in good condition, one coat will give ample protection. However, if the surface has been stripped, it's advisable to use 2 coats. He brushed the finish on with a clean 2-inch brush. Just cover the whole surface with a thin coat and then tip it off once with the grain, once across the grain, no more. Don't worry about brush marks. Leave them alone and they'll level out, as the material is self-leveling. After the finish is dry, and it dries quickly, 2 or 3 hours under normal conditions, rub it lightly with the finest steel wool. Then apply a second coat. Jack agreed with his paint dealer. This coating was the greatest. Easy to apply, impervious to stains, really great. The addition of interesting hardware was the crowning touch. A truly professional job by a rank amateur. The door had to be covered with something, so Jill used the same green hammered satin of the draperies and finished the edges with braid. They really got a bang out of working together. It was such fun to see something turn from ugly duckling to swan in the space of a few minutes. In fact, they got such a bang out of it, they began to spend a lot of time looking for bargains. This was fun, too, to find an unusual piece, a one-of-a-kind sort of thing, and give it a real decorator look. It satisfied the creative urge as well as the practical. A pedestal with interesting lines. An inlaid box that had lost part of its inlay. A Chippendale chair. Each had potential. The challenge was to bring it out. The first step was to get down to bare wood, see if it was worth the effort to refinish. This Chippendale chair was definitely worth the effort. In fact, it turned out to be a real find. Jack learned that the new urethane finish was just as good for floors as it was for furniture. So he brightened up his steps with a couple of coats, both applied the same day, since it dries very fast, and it's not necessary to sand between coats. evenings of work were beginning to pay off. They'd spent under $100 for interesting pieces with potential. Some were a disappointment, like this chair, which never did look like much, but it sharpened their eye for good lines. Most of the pieces were worth 5 times their cost after Jack and Jill had bubbled off the paint or varnish and uncovered their true beauty. The apartment has an individuality that it could never have had with new furniture. It has the stamp of their personality, their tastes, and their ingenuity. In fact, their ingenuity has developed to such a remarkable degree that now making something new from something old is a hobby that pays off in wonderful gifts or in new arrangements. Sometimes even a sale at a handsome profit. There are many books available on refinishing, but if you'd like this booklet that Jack and Jill found helpful, write to Box 568, Alliance, Ohio.